Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this evening we'll have a look at the latest from the live radar. We'll also have a look at the UKMO Office Run. We'll go through the GFS, have a look at its precipitation, its pressure charts and its wind charts, and then also have a look at ECMWF and the GFS Ensembles. It is looking like we're going to be seeing some very stormy weather over the next few days and the next sort of 5 to 7 days as well. Now we have been looking at potentially a named storm this weekend. However, at this stage, nothing has been issued, but we still got to keep an eye on the Met Office over the coming days, as they could still put many warnings in force between now and sort of Saturday evening into Sunday. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and do remember to follow on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. So we do have a look at the live radar. You can see with unsettled conditions over the top of the UK, we've got a lot of heavy rain and blustery showers, and of course strong winds around as well. So you can see we do have sort of areas of lighter rain interspersed with areas of heavier rain moving through, just bands really, so not lasting all day, but it's going to be very cloudy everywhere, and you can see at the time of recording this, we do have some very heavy rain moving through parts of Yorkshire. A bit of a squally feature there. There'll be very heavy and blustery winds, very heavy rain and blustery winds underneath that. It does look like there's a lot of moisture being driven into the northwest, in sort of northwest to northeast, and we could be seeing a lot of rain fall there over the next few hours. Elsewhere, we just still have a lot of rain around, and that is going to continue throughout tomorrow and into Saturday, where it does look like we could see an absolute deluge in the afternoon for many areas of England, Wales, and parts of Ireland and southern Scotland as well. There still will be a lot of rain around, regardless of what happens with this deluge on Saturday, but it does look like we're going to be seeing this big, massive rain move up from the southwest, along with very strong winds on the coast. And again, as I said a few days ago, there's potential for seeing this become a named storm. We were looking at the charts a good few days ago, and it was being shown as quite a severe system. Hasn't quite lived up to what the models were showing a few days ago, but it's still quite a vigorous low pressure system with strong winds and heavy rain, and we'll have to keep an eye on what happens with that. So we do run through the UKMO Office Run, have a look at what precipitation is showing, we'll have a look at wind, and then we'll also have a look at temperatures as well. You can see throughout this afternoon, this evening, you just see masses of rain moving through, heavier pulses at times, and continually potentially seeing the sort of moisture train going in to parts of Wales, into northwest England, northeast England as well, and that's going to continue throughout tonight into tomorrow. It's turning a little bit drier in England and Wales, but still a lot of showers around, especially across Scotland, and still there's the odd shower around even in the far south and southeast. As we head through Friday night to Saturday, you can see showers are around, and they increase in frequency ahead of this deluge, this massive rain heading up from the southwest through Saturday afternoon, and by 3 p.m, pretty much it's raining in the whole of England. Now, you could say the far southwest, a few areas may be escaping this rain. There are few areas across potentially northern England escaping this rain, but generally most of England, Wales, and into southern and central Scotland, it is raining throughout Saturday afternoon. Heavy rain within that, and there's going to be some very strong winds to the south as we've got the centre of the low spreading through England. Again, could be 60, 70 mile per hour gusts on the coast, maybe only 40 or 50 inland, but still could be quite severe. And I do suspect we will see some warnings put in force for this. Just haven't seen them put in force yet. But again, the Met Office Met Office of course have access to better resolution models, more models than we do have freely available online. So perhaps the consensus between a wider range of models is that this isn't going to be as severe as some of these individual runs are making it out to be. Beyond that, throughout sort of Saturday evening into sort of 9, 10 p.m, the rain does swiftly move away. And behind this areas of low pressure, we do again have showers moving in from the west. Areas of more prolonged rain potentially at times, and again another massive rain heading up into the south, potentially overnight Monday into Tuesday. So again, more heavy rain. Now, if we do have a look at the wind gusts, you can see it's potentially strong winds at the moment. We are seeing some blustery winds around, maybe 30, 40 mile an hour gusts. And again, some stronger winds potentially in the west throughout tomorrow. And then as we head through into Saturday, you can see potentially on that southern flank of that big area of low pressure, we could be seeing 60, 70 mile an hour gusts along the south and the southeast coast across East Anglia. Inland, potentially 30, 40, 50 mile an hour winds. Looking at these raw model data, I do suspect there will be a yellow warning put in force because of the impacts with this and the rain as well. So we'll just have to keep an eye out over the next 24 hours if we do see those warnings put in force. But still, regardless of what warnings put in force, there is still the potential for some very disruptive conditions. So do keep an eye out for that. Winds do die down a little bit through Sunday morning, especially across England and Wales, but pick up in the afternoon, getting to around 20, 30 mile an hour gusts again. Generally, winds a bit lighter, but through Tuesday, when we have that massive rain heading from the south, again, could be some very strong winds across the south coast. A bit peculiar seeing on this UK Met Office run 60, 70 mile an hour just on the coast, and then you go 50 miles inland and it's only 10 miles per hour. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it is a very localized area of wind gusts, or maybe it is just the UK Met Office overdoing wind gusts along the coast or underdoing it inland. But we'll have to keep an eye on what the professional forecasters come out with over the next sort of 12 to 24 hours in terms of their weather warnings, if they do put any in force. Now, if we do finally have a look at the temperature for the UK Met Office run, we can see it was reasonably chilly overnight tonight. However, throughout this afternoon, we have seen a bit of a warmer sector move in, but it's not going to feel that warm on the surface because we've got a lot of cloud and rain. And then as we head into Friday, you can see temperatures once again pretty low, only into the low teens for many. Maybe a little bit warmer in the far southeast, but again, won't feel that warm, especially under the cloud and the rain. And then through Saturday, we do see a warmer sector move up in the southeast. However, still cold across northern England and Ireland, parts of Wales as well. And it's that mix of air masses which is fueling the heavy rain and the strong winds as well. And that's going to mean across Scotland, 3 p.m. Saturday, 2nd October, could only be 5 degrees. And still maybe 10, 11 degrees for many areas in England and Wales. Feeling very chilly indeed under the very heavy rain. And then again, we do not see particularly pleasant conditions at all throughout this run, staying chilly with a lot of rain and a lot of unsettled conditions around. So if we do now have a look at the GFS, have a look at the longer range outlook, we can see over the coming days, low pressures pushing in, and then we see that low across the southwest pushing in. Going to be quite a deep area of low pressure, getting into sort of 980 millibars, potentially a bit deeper at times, and you can see a lot of little low pressure systems spiraling in around it. That's going to enhance the rain, enhance the wind as it does move through, and beyond that, we do see generally unsettled conditions coming in off the Atlantic, potentially again another vigorous low pressure system throughout Tuesday into Wednesday, and then generally beyond that, high pressure does start to build in, turning things a little bit drier, but it's not a warm high. You can see the general air circulation is coming in from the northeast, so it will be generally chillier air towards the surface, and you can see it's not particularly warm at all. And in the longer term, we can hang on to this high pressure, potentially turning a little bit warmer in the longer term, but again, nothing too pleasant with easterly winds with a bit of a squashed Scandinavian high. Again, we were seeing a lot of signals and high pressure within the GFS ensembles yesterday in the longer term, and again we'll have to keep an eye on what happens with those ensembles over the coming days, and we'll have a look at that at the end of the video. So if we do go on the GFS, and we'll have a look at what it's showing for precipitation and what it's showing for wind over just over the next few days, you can see just lots of heavy areas of rain moving through. And then you can see that big, massive rain heading up through Saturday afternoon for England, Wales, into southern Scotland. And then again, more heavy rain overnight. And we're going to be seeing a lot of rain falling over the next few days. If we do have a look at wind gusts, give us another good idea of what we could be seeing. Generally only 30, 40 mile an hour, potentially 50 miles or 60 mile an hour across the west coast. And then as we head through Saturday evening, you can see it again. We get similar to the UK Met Office run along the southern flank of this low pressure system. We do have a pocket of potentially 60, 70 mile per hour gusts along the coast. Inland, 40, 50 mile per hour gusts. And that does move up sort of the southeast corner, up East Anglia as well. Again, so I do suspect we could be seeing some yellow warnings put in force for this. You can see very strong contrast in the wind speeds because you see where the centre of low passes through almost minimal wind gusts, and that's what happens when we see one of these direct hits from these low pressure systems. Beyond that, generally, wind gusts are still sort of up and down, depending on whether we have heavy rain or low pressure moving through, or a specific like small low moving through. So it may die down for a time, but it's always going to be picking up once another rain band and another rain band moves through, bringing in blustery winds once again. So if you now have a look at the UK Met Office run, but on the pressure sort of level, have a look at the longer term, you can see low pressures just dominating. And then to 144 hours, so Wednesday time, we do see a brief ridge of high pressure building. However, there is low pressure waiting in the wings out in the Atlantic, and I do suspect that will push through very swiftly, and we will go unsettled once again. You can see to the north a lot of low pressure building in. We still have that bit of Scandinavian high into sort of a Russian high as well. Out in the near continent across Scandinavia and Russia, of course, and that is sort of giving this application jet stream and driving these low pressures towards the UK, as it all is, of course, a kinetic chain. And at the moment, these lows are just sitting to around Iceland and Greenland, impacting the UK, and that's something we need sort of to budge if we want to see anything different. So we do now have a look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare to the other models. You can see again, low pressure continuing over the coming days. And then right towards sort of Wednesday time, no ridge of high pressure building in. We can see an ex-hurricane moving in by next week. And we're pulling in pretty chilly northerly winds on this latest ECMWF. But those swiftly get knocked away by this ex-hurricane, bringing in some very hot air at times, potentially getting up to around 10 or 15 degrees at 850 HPA, which is really quite warm for October. However, it is accompanied by rain and strong winds, so it won't be feeling particularly warm at all. As that low pressure moves through, we do go generally very unsettled. Once again, if we do over the pressure charts, more low pressure just sitting over the top of the UK. Feeling really, really unsettled. So on the ECMWF, no real sign of that high pressure potentially building in for sort of day 10 to day 14. So we do finally have a look at the UK Met Office run. You can see generally things are really up and down over the next week or so. We're going to see big warm sectors move through with that storm over the weekend. That's going to be fueling that heavy rain across England and Wales. And again, through early next week, we're going to have another batch of heavy rain through sort of Tuesday, Wednesday. And of course, there will be, interspersed between these big deluges, there will be areas of rain around as well. Could produce some flooding in places, especially with the deluges. In the longer term, still a lot of precipitation spikes around, a bit diminishing, especially from sort of the 10th of October onwards. But again, no massive signal because there still are plenty of precipitation spikes. Generally, temperatures in the long term are going to be around to maybe just a touch above average. You can see the operational one was pretty chilly with those easterly winds, so it's not a favoured outcome with that Scandinavian high, but it still does show you what we could be seeing potentially. If we do have a look at the sea level pressure, which just gives us a good idea of what we could be seeing, you can see again pressure is dropping as we speak, and it's going to be dipping down to lowest around Saturday evening into Sunday early morning, around 990 millibars, which is pretty low, and that's going to be giving us that very heavy rain. It could drop lower than that, of course. As I said, these are 6-hour intervals, so potentially at sort of 11 p.m. it could drop to sort of 985. We'll have to see what happens in reality and whether we do see any rapid deepening over the next few days. Again, there is always, with these small low pressure systems that all depend on subtle shifts in the jet stream, subtle air mass shifts, they can really change their strength, even only 24, sort of 36, 48 hours out. Then we do see a brief ridge of high pressure trying to build in, but it's not a strong ridge, of course. It's just higher pressure than we've seen before, still low enough to give showers around. Then we see a dip once again as we have more heavy rain moving through, and then generally in the longer term, higher pressure is favoured, but by no means is it a centre of the height sitting over the top of the UK. Always the chance of a lot of low pressure moving in, but no definitive signal for anything too stormy from around sort of the 8th, 9th, 10th of October onwards. But for the next week, it is looking pretty unsettled and pretty miserable. If we do have a look at Glasgow, see how it does compare to the north, and as we have looked over the coming last few days, I do not suspect it's going to be looking particularly great either. Generally, very low pressure over the next week, staying below 1,000 millibars potentially, all the way to sort of to the 6th, 7th of October potentially, starting tomorrow. Long term, still a lot of high pressure is coming up within some of the ensemble members, but at the same time, some are showing low pressure. So at this stage, it is very uncertain. If we look at the 850 HP temperature and precipitation, generally below average over the next week, then going above average, but not massively above average, and remaining a lot, and I mean a lot of precipitation signals. Doesn't look like there's going to be really a day where we go without seeing some rain somewhere across Scotland. And I do suspect it's going to be very difficult planning anything major outdoors over the next few weeks. As it does look like we're going to be seeing rain pretty much every day, whether it's showers or a massive deluge. So, yeah, it doesn't look too great across Scotland, unfortunately. But of course, this is really what autumn is about, and autumn really has arrived with these deluges we're seeing right now and over the coming days. But give it a month or two, and we'll start to be seeing proper wintry runs come up with the ensembles, probably sort of mid-November time, end of November time. That's when we'll start to see some actual potential for some really cold conditions. And yeah, looking forward to seeing that potentially. Having a look at the longer range models come then. But for now, it's looking quite stormy and unsettled. And I hope you can go out and enjoy any sort of drier, sunnier weather we do see. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.